We have to get on a flight from Kauai to Oahu in about 3 hours, but instead of heading to the airport or relaxing before our flight, we're going to see how much we can do on the island of Kauai before we go to Oahu. Step one was breakfast. We needed something quick and easy and found out that McDonald's actually had really good traditional Hawaiian breakfast that we could grab quickly. After breakfast, we actually drove about 45 minutes in the wrong direction from the airport to see something that Rob had been excited to see since we decided to go to Kauai. First stop of the morning was this mountain called Paramount Peak, which is featured in the opening scene of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Then it was back in the Jeep we rented for another 20-minute drive until we made it to Kilauea Lighthouse. Unfortunately, the lighthouse is actually currently closed to visitors, so we could only see it from kind of far away, but it was still cool to see this lighthouse that was actually featured in Lilo and Stitch. We were still feeling adventurous at this point and decided that we were going to try to see a waterfall before we left Kauai. Pretty close to the lighthouse, we found Hawapi Falls and decided to try to hike to find this waterfall. To be honest, this ended up being kind of a huge mistake. Not only did the hike take way longer than we expected, but we also were covered in mud by the time we got back to our car because it was a very wet landscape on this trail. We did successfully make it to a waterfall, though. And then we got really stressed about time because by the time that we hiked back and made it to our car, our flight was in about 2 hours and the airport was still at least 30 minutes away. But we cleaned as much of the mud off our shoes as we could and hopped in our Jeep and did make it to the airport just in time to make our flight. And our flight left before noon, so we got a lot done that morning. And the flight to Oahu was so short that we actually got there by 1 o'clock, so we still had lots of time left in the day to have more adventures. Our first stop in Oahu was lunch at the beach house in North Shore, and then it was time to go and find some water to play in. After lunch, we found a cool beach nearby called Waimea Bay Beach Park. And the kids were excited as soon as we pulled in the parking lot because the first thing we saw was this giant peacock. Then the kids got their swimsuits and sunscreen on and were ready to run around this giant beach with incredible views in the North Shore of Hawaii. The kids ran around and swam in the ocean for a little bit, I would say maybe like 30 minutes, before they realized that there was a lot of activity happening on this giant rock in the bay. And Bailey and Phoenix were feeling pretty adventurous and they wanted to climb this rock with all the other teenagers and adults that had climbed it before them. After those two finally climbed down off the rock and Skylar finished playing in the sand, we decided that the waves at this beach were actually getting a little bit too strong for our kids and we were going to take them somewhere a little calmer to play. Luckily, very close by, we found that there was another cool area to hang out in called Sharks Cove. This was a very safe, very fun snorkeling beach where there was almost no strong waves and the kids could freely swim around and look for fish. They did not want to leave this awesome snorkeling area, but eventually we did have to pull them out of the water so that we could head for our hotel.